Welcome back to your Tuesday broadcasting. I'm Lucy, and the topic of today is going to be bonds. So, the bonds we're talking about are the ones in the workplace and sort of the ones that permeate out, maybe. So, a lot of the times at work, we seek to have friendships with people. Now, not everybody's like this, obviously. There's plenty of people that don't seek close friendships at work. And then there are people that seek close friendships at work. Um, but I think that one of the things that we do not keep in mind as much as we should is that there are all different types of bonds. There are close bonds, there are distant bonds, there are work bonds. There are just so many different types of bonds that we don't need to focus on just one type. I've been in situations so many times throughout my career where it really meant a lot to a lot of my coworkers to be friends with other coworkers or people from other departments, or they didn't really feel like they fit in because they didn't have close friendships with like other coworkers. And it got me thinking a lot this week about just that simple fact and how before COVID, we all were mostly in office 5 days a week, right? It was a normal 9 to 5 schedule of being in the office. And during this time, we had to interact with each other. In corporate, sometimes you have to interact with your teammates, your other teams in your company, your bosses, your managers, cross functional teams, like literally just so many people all the time. And if you worked in a industry like mine, you also had to talk to like your partners in all these different countries and suppliers and just logistics, millions of just little places where you have to like constantly be in communication. And everybody always knew or could feel when one link in the chain was not as optimistic or a little nasty or just not a friendly person. And it just makes things so much worse. Like there's just no need for it. There are so many opportunities for us to just not worry about stuff like that, not have to like be nasty or be rude at work. Anyway, so then we went into COVID, and a lot of us were working from home and maybe still are some of the days of the week, hopefully, still are. And in that, you're in this position where you don't have to interact with these people all the time. Maybe you chat on the little, office chat that you guys have, or maybe you email each other, or, every once in a while you'll do a Zoom meeting. But other than that, you're not really seeing this person as much. You're not forced to make nice with people that are not trying to do the same. And so that has kind of robbed us a little bit of conflict resolution. So I can remember a couple of times at my last fully in office job at American Eagle where there were people in a couple of different departments that sort of liked being a little bit of a bully and knew their seniority and flexed it. And you just had to kind of like grin and bear it. There's not really much you could do. Everybody knew that they were difficult, and that was just that. So instead of American Eagle understanding and realizing that this person might be doing their job well, but they're terrible for morale, they're disrespectful and rude to every single person that they interact with, and they shouldn't have this job and should actually hire somebody that is friendly and not disrespectful and rude, they just kept the status quo. Um, so, in turn, that made a lot of people very much turned off from this person and didn't want to deal with this person and made these interactions really, really tumultuous. Now, I'm the type of person that when these kinds of things happen, I have a good way of sort of asserting a little bit back towards them, just in a way of like, you're not going to talk to me like that because I'm never going to talk to you like that. So I know that I'm very unique in that because not a lot of people have that sort of, I don't know, strength in communication. But with COVID and things, we kind of digressed off of that a little bit and realized that like, I never really have to see this person. So like, whatever. But this goes back to just like the bonds. Okay. We need to be able to be in a place where we don't have drama. We all still need to be able to do our jobs. We all need to be able to get along enough so that you're not leaving work being like, oh my God, this person, they're giving me so much hell, or like they did this thing to me, and um it's just, it's unnatural for people to have to assert like that at you in a negative way. Now, on the flip side, there are, again, like I was saying in the beginning, there are also a lot of people that like immediately when they get a new job or move departments or whatever, they like really want to be really good friends with people and they want these really strong connections with people that they work with. Now, from my perspective, that also is not helpful and not good, because now you're kind of like, I don't know, you're kind of like trying a little too hard. You're pushing friendship in a place and you're not really allowing it to naturally happen. I think that a lot of us can agree that can be very like one way in a friendship and very, very different at work. So you could really rely on your friend or like see the good in them in a friendship. And then at work, they might be like totally different. They might be like a lazy employee, or they might put work off on somebody else, or they might miss deadlines, or like literally just whatever. And it could frustrate you. It could get you to the point where you're like, I honestly, if I met this person at work first, wouldn't be their friend outside of work, because now they're making my job harder or like giving me more work because they're not doing theirs. So we always have to be very aware of how much we are trying to be friends with somebody in a workspace. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there's levels and degrees of the bond, right? I have had coworkers in my past where we have terrific rapport at work. Like we are like just we work so well together. We get so much done. We do it really amicably. I have something in my throat. And it's always a successful project when we come together and do it. But like we wouldn't hang out outside of work. We're just not the same. We don't have the same interests. We don't have the same personalities. We wouldn't hang out with the same people. And that's like amazing, because you can find what's good about a person and you don't have to worry about the rest. They don't have to like owe you this really good friendship, or like owe you being exactly like you or liking what you like. It's just, you can recognize that they like their job enough to do their job, and so do you. And that's just where it is. Or, there are other options, like they interact with people the same way you interact with people and you appreciate that. It's not always about like super hard work, but it's just, it's a relatability on a level that does not have to permeate outside of work. So it's really gotten me to think about how much we overextend at work in a social capacity, because especially when you work at these big corporate companies, there's so many people around you all the time, and there's so many people that are going to come up to you and be like, oh my God, this person was just like so mean, and do you feel like they're mean to you too? And like have you ever gotten like a bad, I don't know, meeting with them, or had a bad interaction or something with them? And in that respect, I understand people are trying to be relatable. They're trying to like see if they're crazy or see if they're overreacting. Like I get it, right? In theory. But they're just investing too much. They're just simply investing too much. There are always going to be people that you can become friends with at work and you can take out of work, right? You can go hang out with outside of work, but that's not the norm. That is not what is just gonna happen every time. I have a lot of coworkers from my past that I'm friends with, and most of them didn't even work in my department, or like a department so far outside of my scope that we probably met like in the break room, or like, I don't know, passing each other in the hallway, or some just really random thing where it's not like I worked with you, I liked you, I wanted to be your friend. It was like you were my boss's assistant, or like you were the mail guy that brought the mail over and I saw you a lot and you were super nice and now we're friends. Just like more authentic and natural communication and bonds, rather than being like, I really want to be friends with you because when, promotion time comes, like I want you to think of me first. Like it just, I understand wanting those things and I understand the politics inside of work. I get it. But this is just like a very toxic way to like put yourself right where you want to be. And if we're talking about like corporate culture and what you want to be and who you want to be at work and not succumbing to like what they want you to act like, you can't really give in to those things. Those are the things that are going to like suck your soul out and like not give you anything back. And it's going to be those things where like when you do suck up to somebody, when the promotion comes, you're probably not going to be the one to get it. Like they, meaning the bosses, they see what you're doing. So again, like hard work in corporate is going to go so much further than sucking up or trying really hard to be somebody's bestie, because it's transparent. Like people can see through it. And if you were to just let the bond happen naturally, that person would probably like you more, there's also just like not a huge amount of natural bonds that do occur in the workplace. Or it's like your quote unquote work wife or work husband, where it's like very obviously just at work, so I just think that we undervalue the light friendships. We undervalue the light connections. Instead of always trying to get to be friends with this person more or deepen our friendship with somebody, like, why isn't a light friendship or a light work relationship something that we can just keep where it is? It works where it is. It's, serving both of us. Why do we have to push it to an area where it's not serving either one of us and it's like kind of getting weird? Or like one of you, maybe you guys have like, you both work under the same boss and you're going to randomly one day be up for the same promotion. Now one of you gets it and the other one feels some type of way. Like there's just never really an appreciation, I think, for the light bonds. And I really just want to highlight them so much because they can get us so far and they can do so much for us. There was this boss that I had one time a couple of jobs ago, and he was a male and he like lived in New Jersey. He wasn't in the city, and he did a reverse commute. Or I guess, sorry, no, he did a real commute into the city. And he was part of the political party that was opposite of mine. And during the elections that year, the candidate that was his candidate was very scary to my political party. And he was advertising for this specific candidate constantly. He was wearing merchandise, he had stuff on his desk. And it was very intense. So my only reason for bringing this up is because he and I were able to keep an awesome relationship at work. I knew for a fact I would never hang out with him outside of work, but he was trusting me with so many things, and he was giving me big projects, and he was telling me I was doing great. He was really encouraging. He really believed in me. He was like one of the best bosses I've ever had. And again, it's like, I don't need to get anything more from you. I don't need to push this any further, because right here we found the sweet spot where we can get along really well. We can appreciate each other for what we need. You are a great boss. I am a hard worker. Let's just do this thing. It worked so well. And that was the end of the story. Sure, maybe I like deeply disagreed with him outside of work, but it doesn't pertain to what we're doing, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, sure, it affects you, sure, but you can't control who the company's going to hire. You can't like hate somebody or not want to do their hard work because of that. So again, it's these professional boundaries that you have to set within yourself to say, I don't need to love this person. I don't need to even like this person outside of work. But if they're a good employee, if they're a good boss, if they're helping me out and doing exactly what I would dream a boss would do for me, why would I need to push it into a place where it's uncomfortable or bad? Right? So I think that if we just continue to value respect above everything else, we will be flying, right? So again, at American Eagle, like the same person I was talking about before that just kind of made everybody's life really hard. She wasn't even, she had seniority, but she wasn't like some mecha boss. And everybody knew she was difficult. She knew she was difficult. She liked it. And I think sometimes in a certain way, I wasn't like friends with her, but I was very cordial with her and we had a great working relationship. And I think one of the reasons that that was asserted was because there are so many people at that company that really want to be friends. Like they'll do anything to suck up to you. And especially the new hires that are like lower on the totem pole, they just want to be the exception. They want like, oh no, well, I get along with her. I can talk to her. I can do it, to the bosses. And it's like, if you're a little bit like scratchy on the outside, people are going to try and do that to you less. It's almost like a deterrent so that people don't try and like be chummy and like suck up to you. It's like that's just not the type of party it is. And a lot of people don't make it past that, right? They're like, okay, I get it. You're not a warm, fuzzy person. We'll just leave it there. We'll just do business together and nothing more. If you're rude, it is what it is, right? Now, someone like me, when I spoke to her, it's like, yeah, I'm just like you. It's just, I'm not outward the way you are. I don't need somebody to feel like I'm scratchy or prickly because that's just adding negativity to a bad situation already. Yes, I don't like people to suck up to me either, but that's just not how I'm going to present. So, in those moments where you can like relate to somebody and you can sort of show them that you're not going to suck up to them. Like you're going to need to do business with this person a lot. You're going to have to talk to this person a lot, but you're not going to go out of your way to be like, okay, well, I'm going to sidestep your disrespect and I'm just going to put joy on top. No, you're like, all right, if that's how you want to deal with this situation, cool, that's fine. You're not like doubling down and being rude back. You're just like, you're not going to affect me. What you're doing right now is not going to work. And the second that you show somebody that, typically they're like, oh, she kind of gets it. She's not going to do that. So I don't have to be prickly to her. So again, it's think about, even since the beginning of this video, how much psychology I've talked about. It is constant psychology throughout all of this stuff, and bonds and relationships of any kind. So there are always ways and reasons that people act the way that they act at work. But I think one of the things that is the reason for a lot of it, the high points of like good, friendly people, and then the slopes of the people that are a little bit rougher around the edges, is just like they don't want to continue to just like meet somebody on this like, level of just, hi, how are you? It's so inauthentic. It takes a lot out of you. Especially like me, for somebody that's just doesn't want to step outside of their authenticity. There are a lot of people that can like, they say code switch and go from one to the other, like their outside personality and then their inside of work personality. But a lot of us do not want to do that. And so when you're met with this person that's like, hi, oh my God, how are you? And you're like, how do you get past that and show them that like what they're doing is so clearly fake and you don't want to deal with that? So again, finding a way to have a bond with a person where you can kindly and respectfully show them that like that's not the way that this is going to work out. That's not like the point here. Is very important. And then there's also inside of work, this concept where, like, for example, I used to work at a company that was like within Karma Loop. I've talked about it before. And Karma Loop, at the very end, one of the things that they were doing that wasn't the best from my perspective was that a lot of the teams, like the women's buying team for the apparel, it was like a husband and wife. Like the wife was buying for the women's and the husband was buying for the men's. And the husband and wife, like the couple, was known by the owner. So he like hired them in, but he wasn't overseeing them day to day. So he didn't see any of the like missteps that they were making or like how the coworkers interacted with them. He just like hired his friends and moved on. Now, I'm really against hiring your friends to your company when you're not in direct contact with that hire, because you have no idea how your employees are going to feel about this person. And you have been blinded and biased about this person because they're your friend and you want to give them help or like a job or whatever. So you're hiring somebody that might be very underqualified. You're just trying to do your friend a solid. Now, the people that have worked for your company for longer than this person or these people might feel very slighted by the management styles of this friend of yours. And nobody's there to put them in check. I have a neighbor down the street that she's been working at this restaurant for a long time. And it's a very small restaurant, a very small staff. And the owner just hired a new manager. And the manager is doing a lot of things that are sort of getting in the way of cash flow and deterring customers from coming in or staying for a while and spending money with them. And my neighbor has said to the owner, because they have a good relationship, she's worked there for a long time, like, hey, it would be great if you could just like pop in and just like see how this person's performing every day. Like, I have my feelings about it and I would love to know how you feel about it because it's been a little challenging. Now, the owner is feeling great because he doesn't have to be there every day. There's this person that's managing the restaurant for him, and he's just sort of sitting back and making money. But the coworkers, the employees are not having a good time. And somebody tries to like sound the alarm saying, this is really not working for us. And the owner doesn't see it because he's not there. So he's like, yeah, but I don't have to be there. So why would I change anything? And it's like she could be the manager and run it better. She's known this restaurant for like 7 years. She could run that with her eyes closed. And then you bring in somebody that's getting in the way of things, that's not understanding the flow of the restaurant, that's not being kind to the employees, and it's messing everything up. So, again, the bonds in the workplace. I do not think that anybody should be hiring their friend to work at their company unless they are in direct, like, association with how this person is doing, because again, it's just a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for people to quit, to leave, to not want to deal with that anymore. And mismanagement is one of the very like hardest things to deal with on a day-to-day basis. You want your employees to be happy at work. And I understand that like the corporations don't really care as much as the little guys, because turnover at corporate is like just sort of part of the pie. But at the small companies and stuff, it is so important how everybody feels about each other. Now, the last job that I had before I stepped into my entrepreneurial endeavors, when I got hired, I was interviewed by 3 different people. They were all like mid-level managers and then also the CCO. So, and she was about to be my boss if I got hired. So you're seeing a sample size of all of these people that work at this company. And you're seeing how you get along with them, how they approach you, what questions they're asking, what they want to know about you. Some of them were asking questions that were very technical. Do you know how to do this? Have you ever done this? And then some of them were asking very personal questions. What do you like to do outside of work? What's your favorite color? Like, just random stuff, just really trying to get to know you and trying to see if you're selling them a dream or if that's really how cool you are. Are you going to get along with a team that's well established, or are you sort of not the vibe we're looking for? Are you so conditioned by corporate that you can't really understand being part of a team where everybody gets along really well? Or can you? Is that what you're looking for too? Are you going to be a team player? Are you going to like it here? There are just so many people that are conditioned by corporate and they're just like trained to like, I'll be whoever you want me to be. I just want this job. So as I worked there for a while, I realized how efficient and supportive this team was because everybody straight up liked each other. It didn't have to go past work. We didn't have to hang out outside of work. I hung out with somebody outside of work from the company and we had an absolutely wonderful time, but it didn't have to be that for me to really appreciate and like that person. So there's so much undervaluing in the bonds at the workplace. I think that one of the first people that I met at that job, she was like so sweet, and I had this like disaster of a first day. Like I didn't realize the train schedule. I had looked the train schedule up like the night before and it was showing one thing and I was really confident about it. And then when I woke up the next day, something really weird happened and the whole train schedule was different. And I was like, I'm not even kidding, like an hour and 40 minutes late in New Jersey to the, anyway, it was a nightmare. But I like snuck in and I like went up to this girl's desk and I was like, hi, like I'm Lucy. I'm mortified right now. I'm like so late. I had this absolutely nightmare thing happen. I ended up having to take a taxi that was like $100 just to get here and save some time. But so anyway, this girl was so sweet to me and she was like, oh my God, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's a couple other people's first day too. And like, it wasn't as smooth for them either. Like, don't worry about it. She was so sweet. And every single project that I had from that point forward, I worked with her just by chance. And she already knew that I was like cool and that I really cared about this job. If I was that stressed about being late, I was invested in it. And she could see that I worked really hard. She could see that I was friendly, that I wasn't trying to cause anybody any issues. So, of course, at that company, there were people like that didn't last long, that were a little bit challenging, that got hired the same day I did. And everybody was kind of taking the same risk on each other. And they didn't last, right? But I didn't have even 1/8 of a problem with employees there than I have at every single other job I've ever had. And you realize that if people take the time to really vet these people and really care about who they're hiring to their companies, knowing that they're going to keep an eye on you, not only in your work ethic, but also your person, your personality, your empathy, your respect levels, your all that stuff, it's all a package deal. And one of the best things that I took from that job is my boss, the CCO, saying to me, you can teach somebody all the technical skills that they need to really do any job, but you cannot teach somebody how to respect somebody, at this grown age. You cannot teach somebody how to move in an environment with like psychological, like with EQ, high EQ. Um, so she's absolutely right. You're either a good person or you're not for us. And those are the things that you can't teach. So in the interviews, it's less about like, oh, so what college did you go to and how many years did you spend? Like, what are you like? you know, what are you like? Because the rest of it, I got you and we'll teach you and we'll train you. And it's wonderful that you've done this before and it's wonderful that you have experience. That got you in the door, right? Now, what's going to keep you here is who you are. And so I think that a lot of the times with these small entrepreneurial groups or like, small businesses that I've worked with, sometimes what happens is a couple of friends want to do this thing together. They want to make this thing work together. And that's wonderful. And like, love that for you. But sometimes the realism, the reality of the situation leaves. And, you don't realize how much somebody has gone without being checked, or you don't realize how somebody has just like taken the leadership role and like gone full force ahead and left everybody else behind, and doesn't realize how much they have like straight up forced their way into being the voice for the whole team. And they might be the last person on the whole team to be that voice, that should be that voice. So there's so much value in an outside voice, because like, okay, let's say you're on that same team and like in the beginning it was three of you and everything was going really well and you guys were all friends and you had different skills and together you had this great idea. And then over time, like one of them like did what I just said, like really took the reins and like tried to be the front person. And like, let's say I'm part of that group and I wasn't the person that did that. Now, how do I approach this person and tell them, like, yo, bro, I think this is like kind of getting to your head. Like, what about us? Like, we have just as much a say in this as you do. Now you're kind of making me feel like I need to like draw up some contracts so that we all kind of like legally know how much responsibility we have, which is not a place I wanted to be. And now this person feels some type of way, and now they're going to like bring that into work, and they might slight you, they might take projects from you, they might just do weird stuff, not tell you about things. All unnecessary behavior, all of it from start to finish, just unnecessary. But if you were to bring some third party in to help like get over these hurdles of the bonds at work, right, you can restore that, because the third party can listen to every single person at that table say, this is kind of hard for me, I don't really like this person did this, and can say, okay, great, that's wonderful feedback, now let's all come together and talk about it like adults, talk about it like business owners. We're not here to mend friendships, we're here to mend what we're doing. And when we do that, we are mending the friendships, and we don't have to like, it could be a situation where your relationship with this person you work with like ebbs and flows. So one month or 1 year or something, you guys are doing really well, and then there's a little snag and you get over it and you get back to being good. Like, that's normal, right? But feeling like you can't talk to somebody that you like run a business with, or you can't tell the truth to somebody, that's when it becomes a problem. And it's the same thing with corporate. Like, if you are in corporate and there's that one person that's rude as hell to you, or like talks down to you in meetings, or like does something very demeaning or disrespectful, you're not going to just do what you do on the streets. Like, yo, what the, you have to find a way. And if you can't find a way, if you're not an assertive person, you're just stuck in this jail that this person put you in, that you never agreed to and you didn't do the crimes for, right? So finding a place where you feel safe enough and comfortable enough to assert in ways that restore the balance between you and somebody else is so fundamental to being happy at work, wanting to work hard for this company, feeling like someone has your back, or that you have your back, depending on the scale of the company. So again, it all goes back to this concept of just feeling good at work, feeling supported at work, feeling like somebody gives a shit about how you feel at work. And it could be somebody that you barely even know. Like, somebody could look up to you because you were just a bright light in that meeting. I had a coworker at my last job that we had some overlap in our jobs, not too much, just a little bit. But every single time that we talked, she was so nice to me, and she was like, "Thank you so much for doing this, and oh, you did such a great job," and like went out of her way to compliment me, because we never really interacted. And when we did, it was always such a positive, beneficial thing. And though, like, again, she's not somebody that I would hang out with outside of work, but we appreciated each other. We were doing the same type of thing. We were invested on the same level, and we never made work harder for one another. No one was ever waiting for each other to like start their part of the group project or something. So again, it's just I encourage you guys, if this is you, if any of these things that I said, pertain to you, I encourage you to just think about your bonds at work. Don't be like one of the bosses that I had at American Eagle, where she was like, all these girls from this one department, they were all friends before they got here, and now when they come to work, they're like really, really good friends, and I just feel so left out. Don't be like her. Don't seek these things that are not organic. The bonds that are meant for you will find you, and they will present themselves in a way that is something you want and something they want. Otherwise, again, just keep respect at the top, stick to what you need to do and what you want to do and the worker that you are, and the things will just come naturally. But to try and go too hard or be kind of a dick, not the right way to go. And then also, if you're the business owner, like hiring friends in a position where you aren't overseeing them, don't jump to doing that. Don't jump to giving somebody so much power in your company, because it could be the straight up demise of your building blocks to your company. And again, if any of these things are, things that describe you or things that you've dealt with, I am here and I can help you. I can help you navigate these things. It doesn't have to be, um, you know, like that you own your own business that you want to work with me. My company is called Nectar Brand Therapy, and I would love to help you guys. I would love to help navigate either within a corporate job you have, within who you are at work, or within what you're building. It doesn't really matter. It's mostly about, you know, encouraging the professional person within inside of you, that wants to be who she really is or who he really is. And that's just more important than feeling like insecure, so you need these friendships, or feeling like an outsider, so you need these friendships. Everybody, when they get a job, or they start their own company or something, like there's always a time where people are outsiders. When you first come into a company, you're not friends with everybody. Everybody goes through that. And it's not high school. Like the main thing to remember through this whole thing is like, this is not high school. The dynamics are not like high school. You don't need to go be friends with everybody. You don't need to go fit in. Just be who you are, be yourself, and you will find a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place that people want you there, and people accept you, and people come to really appreciate you and what you have to offer because you didn't treat this like it was high school. Okay? So that's where I'll leave you. This has just been so fun for me. I have loved to think about topics and love to think about what you guys want to hear about, and sort of the angles that I have for helping people, and like what I look at, what I focus on. So if you guys have anything else that you want me to talk about or you want to hear about, leave it in the comments and I will try my best to address them. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.